meeting to order. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the Greenwood Board of Trustees will be held at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, August 27, 2025 at the Yale McDonald Community Center located at 619 Main Street, Greenwood, Nebraska. Said meeting is open and the public is encouraged to attend. Board of Trustees reserves the right to return to exec session for state statute 84-1410. Open Meeting Act is posted in the meeting room for the public view. Roll call 7.
Here.
Kevin.
Here.
Tanya.
Here.
Don here. Mark's absent. Consent agenda, minutes, approval, time cards, payroll, detailed reports, financials, profit loss, balance sheet. Is there any additions or corrections?
I just had the sergeant was spelled wrong on a sheriff's report, and
Yeah, I saw two typos.
Rockwell is the secretary, not the president.
There's no more additions or corrections. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections and approval of time cards, payroll, detailed reports, financials, profit loss, balance sheets. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Kevin.
Aye.
Tanya.
Aye.
Don, aye. Stephen.
Aye.
Water report. There was some stuff from the state, but everything looked good, looked like. So, any questions on the water? Sheriff's report, he was here last week. Maintenance report.
So the sewer plant, the side that was offline is now online, it's in operation. And then we still got some tweaks to do to it, but it is operating. And we're basically gonna leave it alone until we're sure that it's operating before we do anything with the other side. To be frank, we're to the point now where I probably will wait till next spring to tear that out. Because I don't want to tear it off and then have it happen in the middle of winter. So as long as the other side is operating, we'll leave it alone, we'll do it next spring. And also it gives us enough time to make sure that the side that we repaired is actually operating correctly. So it is in operation. We were over our NPDES limit on ammonia. That's been pretty much a fight for years here. I actually have been in contact with the state. The state's gonna bring down some technical help and they're gonna go through some stuff with me and maybe give me some suggestions on how to get the ammonia down. We just constantly fight that. So I'm hoping that with both sides operating, it'll slow the detention time down, and I'm hoping that will solve some of our issues, I hope. So, and then we started around the trimming trees around the power lines the day before yesterday. So that'll be kind of a constant ongoing thing throughout the next couple of months. And we expect that to take roughly 2 months-ish to get through the whole system. So, and that is our plan, is to do the entire system with all the trees and stuff. So, as far as the power is concerned, I think everybody's aware of the pole that got hit the other day. Wasn't a huge deal, so it's taken care of. We just got some cleanup work to do because of that. So,
Thank you very much for that, too.
What's that?
Thank you very much for that.
You bet. So I met with the HOA guy as far as the blending is concerned. I wasn't sure. Do you want to go over that stuff now, or do you want to wait till later?
Is that an item in here tonight? No.
I mean, there'll be no action taken on it tonight. It was just some information I was going to give you, if that's okay. If you want to do that now, or you want to do it later?
That was fine.
All right. So I met with the HOA guys. They're the control folks for the wells, and they're the ones programming our wells so that we get the blending stations completed. The engineer that I was working with no longer works for JEO. He moved on, so we got a different engineer. So I think the old engineer was operating under the assumption that one of our wells had a variable frequency drive. It does not. It only operates one way, that is on/off. You cannot control the gallonage in any way, shape, or form. So you actually have a proposal from HOA inside that thing that I just gave you tonight. That's for installing a VFD on the well that does not have one. So the high nitrate well has a VFD, the other well does not. And very simply, all a VFD does, it's called a variable frequency drive. It just turns the frequency down from 60 hertz down to whatever. An example of that, we just turned down well one the other day, HOA and I did, and by turning it down 3 megahertz, we reduced the gallonage pumped almost 200 gallons a minute. So what it does is it gives you the ability to change the amount of water that you pump. And the reason that we want this is because Like now we have the turbidity problem with the air, you know, that's slowly getting better. To be very frank, I think it's because the water table is going up. I don't think that's we didn't change anything on the pumping side, so I honestly think it's just because the water table's higher and it's not pulling as much air through the pump.
Two questions for you on this. Is this the same brand of VFD as the other one?
No,
Do you know what the other one is?
it's Danfoss.
Danfoss? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got 3 quotes. All 3 quotes, the other 2 weren't even close to this one. This is by far the cheapest. And it's also the controller. You would have to pay them anyway to come basically make the VFD and the programming talk to each other. You'd have to pay them anyway. So they are cheaper to install the VFD, and you're gonna have to pay them to program it anyway. So this is by far the best option. I did seek out 3 bids. One of them was over 10,000, one of them was 9,000, and then this is
In the budget, we did put in 10,000.
10 and.
yeah. So this is 7665 with the HOA programming. So I mean that's a no-brainer. But
The only concern that I have is I know the VFDs and they say it's a 6 lead or 12 lead, depending on what it is. That this is the only information I gave you.
I don't care. To
Okay.
be frank, as an operator, I don't care. All I care is I have the ability to do this beep, 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 and turn the nurse down. That's all I care.
That's why I was asking, because the Danfoss compared to this one, I know a 12 lead gives you more flexibility with programming and adjustability. A 6 lead does not.
So I'm of the strong opinion that we should do the KISS method here.
I got
You know,
you.
as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna be here for, you know, forever and by any means. And the next operator, it needs to be simple. You know, the simpler the better. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, that other one is very, very complicated. It was super, super simple to change it. It took us 30 minutes to figure out how to change it because it's really complicated.
The Danfoss one?
Yeah, and it's got a million settings on it,
Yeah.
but we only needed one,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Industry standard is the Danfoss, and that's what I.
Sure. And it'll cost more money if you want one of those.
Yeah.
But for what we want, I honestly think the simpler the better. I really do. But anyway, that's not on the agenda for today, but I wanted to have it for next go around, and I wasn't sure when we wanted to do it. But in the event that we have the water table drops below next time, this is how we slow the well down a little bit and hopefully get away from that air sucking thing if we can. I mean, if the well, you know, we can't control the water table. I mean, that's not something we can control. We can control though how much water we pump per minute. We do have, I think I told you this in the past, we do have a couple concerns, just because if we turn them down so low, our energy use will go up a little bit, because we're gonna pump a longer duration. So think of smaller gallons per minute, much longer pump duration. So the pumps will run much more, because they're both gonna run at the same time. Where before, there used to be a lead and a lag. One would kick on, it would run, and then kick off, and when the next cycle for running came on, the other well would come on and then kick off. These are gonna run together, so they're both gonna run at the same time, they're gonna blend together. One well is gonna come on like 5 minutes, and then the second well will come on. One will run at 75%, one will run at 25%, and that's how the actual water gets mixed. So that's how they're gonna achieve that blending inside the water main. Okay? But it would give us more flexibility to turn that up and down a little bit. So as of right now, there's no adjustment, it's on or off. So we did replace, there was a leaking valve on the well 2, the good well, so that is replaced on the actual well stack itself. And then, so the actual programming literally takes him like 5 minutes. He just calls it up and he flashes it in there and that's it. So the only thing we're waiting on is he wants to talk to the new engineer that took over this project. The HOA guy does. And then if we're gonna do this, I think he said, if we are gonna do this, we'll just wait and do it all at once. That way it's done and over with. So I think we're all ready to go. So it's just a matter of if we want to do this and then get the HOA guy and the engineer to give the thumbs up.
Did we get the nitrate meter yet?
Yeah, it's here.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Any questions about the water stuff? Okay. Next one I got there is an email and a proposal for water meters. We read the water meters last go around. We've had a heck of a time with those reading. there's about 20, 25-ish, is that right? So somewhere around 20, 25 water meters that aren't reading. So I actually called Neptune and said, hey, what should we expect out of these for a lifespan? He said we should expect 15 years.
We're at 20, what?
21.
I'm sorry.
This is year 21. So he said the lifespan, the average lifespan is about 15 years for them. So the pricing, they've gotten expensive. So the pricing for those for a 3/4 is $384 a piece, and a 1 inch is $454.67 a piece. So
What was that price again for the one?
it's in your back.
Oh, okay.
$454.67.
Ah,
And we're a little limited just because Neptune, they're by their territories. You know, there's only one Neptune dealer in this territory. But, so I guess you just need to decide what you're gonna do to address
You
that.
know how many 1-inch meters we're gonna need?
I don't. So I won't know until we actually go to that physical site and look at it to see. And the volume break isn't until 100 meters. You gotta buy 100 meters before they give you a volume break. So that's not really relevant to us. We're not buying 100 of them. So, but we just need to come up with some kind of plan on what to do that. Right now, we're estimating them, you know, which is, you know, there's good things and bad things with that. I mean, we're still using the estimating thing to get the water meter.
It's a lot of manual labor just to get that done.
Yeah, so we start estimating 20, 25 meters at a crack, you know, it does eat up some time. And also, it is not accurate, and it won't be accurate until you actually go physically read it. So I guess mull it over and figure out how you want to go forward with fixing those or replacing those.
Probably won't be able to do that until next fiscal year. October 1.
And the next thing is actually on the agenda, so I'll wait for that. Okay, so.
Should we just have the first two things we talked about put on the first meeting of the fiscal year so that we can go ahead and
Well,
vote on them?
let's find out how much we got left in water for this fiscal year. If we got some extra, if we do, let's get them next
Get 'em
year.
ordered.
We'll have Darlene find out.
Well, I guess one more thing, the electric meters, we did have 4 or 5 electric meters that were actually damaged, and they were actually probably damaged during the hailstorm earlier this year, probably.
And we just didn't know it yet.
Yeah, and then they got water in them, and then they quit working.
Oh,
So
okay. Gotcha.
I would assume, because when I went to replace them, they were in error, and the lenses were broke, and obviously, it's probably got water in it since then. That's just a mess, I think it's just a mess. But anyway, there wasn't a ton of them, I think there was only 4 or 5 of them, I think. But I would imagine that that's probably gonna happen again, so, but,
And there still could be more.
sure, yeah. And we'll know immediately, because it'll come up on our software and say, hey, it's not working.
Okay. Are you going to be present Friday? Or yeah, what's that?
So, yeah, I'm planning on it, but I've got a couple other commitments. But he actually wanted the latitude and longitude for each stainless meter. I guess, do I need to go get that, I guess?
For each meter?
For each stainless meter. So I need to get the lat and long for like 40 meters. So, I'll do it, but
if you give me a little bit of time, I can look tomorrow, but I should be able to do it with the GIS software that we have. All I have to do is go over, click on where it's at, and it's accurate within 2 feet.
yeah, I can do that. But, and then, I mean, just, I don't want to force all of them here, but, there's 113 meters that aren't reading for the Tantalus system.
When I talked
Both
to,
collectors are up.
right, when I talked to the gentleman on Monday, I think, or no, it was last Friday, they said this meeting should resolve all of that. And I'm hoping, because Brenda was part of that and a few others, and when I talked to the other people, and they said it should be operational.
Yeah, so when I talked to Steve a little bit, and I said, look, I just so we're clear, everybody's unhappy with this. Everyone's unhappy with it. Everyone involved. I said, and it's a lot of money. I said, and so far, we've eaten up like 5 years of time savings trying to get it to operate. So I said, so you need to get this fixed, and it needs to be a priority. And he said, I said, well, other people have got to be having this issue because other people use Power Manager and all that stuff. And he says they have 23 other communities that are using the system with no issues. So he was a little frustrated with our IT folk. So he's kind of doing the, well, it's their fault and it's their fault and that's going on. And I made it clear to him that we didn't care. I don't give a crap. You know, just get it fixed. Otherwise, we'll just go back to the other one. We'll rip them out and go back to the system. So hopefully Friday, but they're well aware that we're unhappy. So.
Anything else, Al?
Nope.
Clerk's report.
Janet told me that the customer at 7 Ash Street, every time we send them their bill, it comes back that there's no bill acceptable, but it's stored. This has been going on for months. Jimmy's went over there a couple times and actually took the bill to them.
What do they do?
Current one that we just ran is 571.77.
How many months they doing it?
It's at 2, I think, 2 or 3.
And it's
Whole
been
meter.
probably
Get
more.
up, come up, babe.
Yeah.
Whole meter one.
7 Ash.
All they're doing is sending it back.
She's even went to the post office and tried to get it, but obviously we can't do anything. You know, it's not so. And the other thing I just wanted you guys to know, which is in the packet, that budget hearing is on September 10th.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Anything for Darlene? Planning and zoning, they have minutes.
Well, we just have our agenda. I don't have his minutes yet.
Oh.
Turn these in.
Gotcha. Okay. Fire and risk, you know, anything, I know they,
The maintenance request, I think they put in there for the.
Yeah.
yeah, for the fire hall.
Right.
You know anything about that?
Well, he mentioned to me, but I guess where, you know where it is?
It just says, oh yeah, there's a description of it.
Is it in the radio room?
It just, he told me from the ceiling to the floor, causing damage to the ceiling and floor tiles. I don't know where.
Okay.
That's just what he told me.
I assume it's the radio room, I assume. Well, probably do is the shop's got a couple roof leaks too, so we'll just get some kind of polyurethane for roofs and just patch it. It's just gonna be a patch. Patch it. Yeah, we just give it Brandon, figure out what we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says fire station ceiling is leaking from the April storm, leaking from ceiling to the floor, causing damage to the ceiling and floor tiles of the village.
I'm sure you should be able to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Park and rec, we're getting minutes to them.
No, I don't think they had their meeting. They were going to, this didn't happen.
Library, communications of citizens. Nobody. New business, approve or disapprove team view remote access.
I was questioning this on here. I brought some information up there, Darlene's got a position now, but, I am not a big fan of this product because of known security breaches that they've had. And it is advised not to use on government computers in the past. So I know we are using it, but that's my opinion on this one right now, so.
Is there an alternate?
My understanding right now is that we are paying for remote desktop with Microsoft anyway, part of the package. It just needs to be enabled on whoever's gonna access it and how they're gonna access it remotely, so we have a little control over it. So this is again, you mentioned that Chad is one that said something about this one, or
Yeah.
said it's already unused, or on the computer.
No, he said it's already there, and I asked him, he's gonna put it on. He says, well, it's already on there.
So, who initiated the question about that? Was it,
Well, I'm assuming, because Justin couldn't log on, she got with him, and then that's what he told her, I mean, otherwise she would have no idea.
okay. Yeah,
He was aware of it, because he was on there with me
okay.
on the computer, and he says, well, just give her this password. And I did.
Truthfully, I'm against using it, but I don't know if you guys have other opinions or know anything about it or not.
I mean, we already have the Microsoft one, right?
I believe so, yes. Chad Turner, since he's an administrator of the Microsoft account, he can remote desktop in, or we just give other people authorization to do that. And whoever has access to our information on the government computer should be limited to whatever. The biggest thing that I don't like about TeamViewer is that it has the capability of bypassing all our firewall stuff and security protocols, and that is a known issue. So all the information we have in here, if somebody's in, or actually using TeamViewer and finds an open port or something, even our cybersecurity will not, or cybersecurity insurance will not cover that.
But Chad should have spoke up and said that.
Because Chad's the one that got it.
Right.
What I'm just going by what I have known from the past. Because I said, two companies I previously worked for got rid of that project for that specific reason. So maybe they've updated stuff, maybe they haven't, I don't know, but again, to me, I'm not a fan of this product. So. I would say,
It's already purchased.
well, that's the thing here, is that I know it's on there, and I think it was just a renewal of a subscription, wasn't it, that we had from previous?
Correct.
See, so somewhere along the
We've been
line.
using it.
Well, and that's what my theory is that he didn't put it on there, it's been on the computer for quite a while, we've just been paying and paying and paying and didn't know it.
How
And
comes Chad?
Said we've already done it at some point.
we've had him on now for 3 years, 2.5, 3 years, I think.
Well, he was very well aware of it when I talked to him.
Okay,
Maybe we ought to do a little research and see.
well, that's why I said I would propose tabling this for a little more
And
information.
the Microsoft was right, it's way simpler to use. than-
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I said I make a motion to table for use, I guess, for whatever team
And
you
in
are
the
right now for
meantime,
further
maybe see if we
information.
can figure out the Microsoft and get it
Yeah.
activated or get enabled or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Call Tanya, Stephanie,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Discussion of possible feasible study for backup power.
So, we are having, I know we've all had informal conversations, we've never had like formal conversations about this. So I thought just to kind of, like, step one of a step 1,000. So I think, did you get that in the packet? Okay, perfect. So what I did is, I reached out to Mason with Nebraska Generator and I said, hey, I don't know where to start with this. Where would we start if we wanted to? I said, I assume that we would need an engineer involved, et cetera. So he got me in touch with an engineer that does this kind of work for most of the small municipalities, especially out west. And I said, hey, here's what we just want to have a conversation first and figure out, I guess, what would be the next step if we wanted to move forward. So this was born from this. OPBD's commercial power system has been reliable for decades and decades and decades. We've not had extended outages. There's been now 5 in the last 24 months that we've had extended outages where the system coming into town was actually down for an extended period of time. I mean, we can all theorize as to why that's happening, but in my opinion, it'll probably continue to happen. as demand for power goes up in that direction, and then obviously Mother Nature appears to be very angry here lately. So I thought, well, let's just have a conversation about a backup generator source. Okay, if you're not aware, we get charged what's called a peaking charge. So in the summertime when demand goes super high, OPPD charges us extra at those peaking demands, okay? So there's a couple of schools of thought when it comes to standby generator or backup generator for your entire town. It's actually not that large of a generator to actually generate power for the whole town. So I said, I had a conversation with the engineer, and he said, I said, well, here's our schools of thought, is backup generator for just simply that, backup generation for when power is out. And he said the second would be generation of power as an income source, and then actually generating power to put onto the grid, okay? And he dispelled the first two pretty quickly. He says, 1A, he goes, you can't afford to do power generation and put it onto the grid because the transmission fees that you have to pay to put it onto the grid is really substantial. He says that will never math. He goes, I don't need to do a study to understand that. He goes, so if you want to generate power and actually sell it back to the grid, he says you're not large enough. That's not feasible. You should not even consider that. Okay, no problem. So the second thing would be the actual generation for ourselves. He said, and he goes, I don't need to tell you that that's never going to math as well. You're never going to be able to make money. So it became pretty enlightening pretty quickly that if we do this, it would be for backup generation power or peaking power. And what that means is that we can actually turn that generation on when it's super high, the demand is super high, and then we don't have to pay that peaking rate. So what it does is it saves money on that peaking rate, and then it actually drives our bill down, hopefully. I don't know what the peaking rate is, and to be very frank, that's what the feasibility study is, okay? And technology has come along a long ways, and you no longer need this big, huge, enormous generator, generation system anymore. Most of the towns around that are putting these in now are putting these in banks. So they'll actually put in 4 generators in a bank. That way you're not dependent on one if one of them goes down, et cetera, et cetera. So the technology's gotten a lot better. So what I asked was, I said, just give us a proposal on what it would cost to do a feasibility study to find out even if we should even consider this anymore. And then we we need more information to make another step, I guess is my thought. So he put together that study. It's a feasibility study, and all he needs to do from that is take our billing information from the last 24 months, and then he can tell, how big a system we would need. Is the peaking going to be the savings if you have that for peaking power, and then what it would cost on a rough estimate, what it would cost to actually install some system like that, okay? And you have in front of you, I think it was 65. Yeah. So my suggestion would be this. Obviously, we don't want to tax burden any of our utility customers anymore. I think this would be an excellent thing for the TIF fund to pay for, that you have some funds in, because it is an improvement on the town. If you can guarantee power generation even during a storm or anything like that, obviously it improves the value of your properties and that sort of thing. So, and also it serves as it's a dependability, it's a redundancy thing to make sure that it's not freezing cold in the middle of winter when the power goes down. Now, obviously, if our system gets knocked down, that'll still affect that, obviously. But I would tell you, in the last 3 or 4, the feed coming in has been the problem, not our actual system itself. So, I guess with that,
I have got a couple things on this. When you submitted this, I was curious about this too, reading through this. The NMPP, or the National Municipal Power Pool that we're part of right now, they do studies like this too.
sure.
The other thing too that I'm concerned about is that if we start generating stuff here, is that a violation or a clause in the current contract that we have with OPPD?
Well, that's part of the feasibility study. So they do this all the time with Nebraska Public Power, Omaha, and all the REAs out west.
Yeah.
So these, and that's why I kind of steered towards these folks, is because they do that. they're gonna be able to come to you and they're gonna say, the next step would be this. We would have conversations with OPBD, and these are the challenges with that. These are the things you would have to overcome. These are the things that you would have to consider. That's what this is for, is to tell you all those pitfalls and all those issues. You may do this study and go, well, this is ridiculous. It's too expensive. We can't do it. I mean, that's a very real possibility. But, I mean, I don't think any of us are remotely in a position to say, hey, this is the way you do this. Because I don't think we are. I mean, I wouldn't have a clue.
One thing that did come up here, I think personal knowledge of this, is that Norris is actually increasing a line for reliability 1 mile west of us right now.
Sure.
And again, that's something that I was looking at to see if we could potentially connect to them as an alternate source when it comes down to who's gonna be controlling this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing.
Well, sure. And,
That'd be part of the study too.
Yeah.
I think that, and again, like I said, this is, you know, to get this thing done, there'd be 500 steps. This is step 1. You know, and you may get the feasibility study and just go, this is a pipe dream, it's never gonna be feasible. You know, it's not feasible. But there's just no way to do it unless you do something like this. And if you say, nope, I'm not interested in, you know, standby power, that sort of thing, that's fine. But I would tell you that I just don't see how those issues aren't. I don't see how they're gonna go down. I mean, the demand that what they're building in Springfield is putting on that system is immense. I did not realize how much demand that was put on their system. It really, really immense. So,
Well, they got another one in Lincoln.
they do. So, our part is actually pretty simple. All we have to do is get them in touch with the billing and get the billing for the last 24 months. And then they'll contact OPBD if they need to. Our part's pretty simple, and that's it. Get them that information, and then pay for the study, and then they would come have a presentation. So,
I'm in favor of doing this study, like I said, if we can do it out of TIF funding, and then I would also reach out to Rich and see if he has a second one too, to see if they correlate, if they're saying the same.
Well, he could look over the feasibility study,
Yeah.
look it over and say.
Yeah.
and you know, and I don't know anything about Mean. I assume Mean doesn't have like, and this is just an assumption, they don't have like a hardware. They have no idea what hardware costs.
That's
I would think.
Well,
They would know ins and outs of all the billing and the grid and the
Well, that's-
agreements and all that. They would know, certainly know all
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
But hardware, I mean, they don't do hardware.
Well, they've got 2 engineers on call, and I think Morris might be one of the engineers that they use.
So, but if it's worthwhile, I mean, think about it, whatever. I mean, this is certainly not a short-term
So-
project.
Something else that has popped up, I think, from last time I talked to the electrical inspector, I think there's 6 or 7 more people here in town that are wanting to put Generac units in.
Well, it's clear from, I mean, the electricians are putting these in by the truckloads.
Yeah.
Because everybody is concerned about the reliability of the grid, because it is failing many more times than normal. Yes. So, and then we also, I asked it's kind of going along with this, I asked the supplier to get us line loggers so that we can go.
Data loggers, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, I don't care about the data, I care about the visual.
Visual.
Yeah, visual, be able to say, hey, the light's dead.
Oh,
Because right now, we gotta go fish it back to wherever.
The fault
you know,
indicators,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, so he's supposed to be checking on those for us, so that any of us can walk up or drive out on Highway 6 and go, yeah, the line coming into the town is dead. So, but, anyway, so if you want me to get more information, I will, but this is just kind of a, hey, if we were interested in doing this, this is step 1. So,
I think it's worth considering, because I mean, we've already had several, and there's bound to be many more.
And I was a little surprised at how small that, you know, because when you think of generation, you think like a power plant, you know, we're not that big of a customer. We don't have a lot of industrial users. And part of that feasibility study is, hey, to make it affordable, you know, you can take some of those large customers offline, like a co-op. You can take them offline before you generate power, that sort of thing. But, you know, a 2 megawatt, I would guess, and this is just a guess, the guess would be, it'd be like a 2 megawatt generator. So you put like a 1 meg and a 1 meg in series, you put them in banks. So, and that's just a guess. And they're, to be honest, they're they're not ridiculous. You would think millions and millions of dollars. I don't think that's the case, but again, I don't put those in. So.
I think, yeah, the last time we looked, I think our peak was 1.76 meg,
Yeah,
and that was,
middle of summer,
yeah, that's the big one.
and I guess when you're maybe having conversations with me, that's kind of the reason for putting the banks.
Yeah, it's N+1, yeah, or N+2 or whatever.
Yeah, and then, so you don't wanna kick a 2 megawatt on, you're only pulling a half a meg.
Yeah.
So, because that's not good on the generator or the system, so you put in 2 1s so that you go 1, then I need another one to go.
My understanding too, just looking through this stuff that Nebraska has for electrical reliability stuff, I think it's 10 meg is the cutoff that they like for generation. Anything less than that, they don't really care about it because local.
Yeah, it was very clear
Oh, yeah.
with the conversation with him that this is a Greenwood only thing.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have conversations to send it outside of Greenwood. That's just not because there's no way it'll ever mathematically come out. You just don't make it up, so.
And I said, not for the feasibility study, make this work, so it's just a matter of where we're gonna pay for it, so.
And we have lots of time. I mean, we're not in a big hurry with this. I mean, this is a long-term, decades.
Well, the gentleman that's gonna be out here with Power Manager on Friday, he is part of that same group from NMDP, and might be able to look in his ear too, see what's going on with that, so.
I should put this off till next fiscal year.
Whenever, I mean, yeah, if we want to wait till October, that's fine, I don't care.
And I'll be glad to get more information. I just don't know what it'll be.
Correct. But right now, we're
Yeah.
at the very end of our.
That's why I suggested TIP, because it would have no impact on, your budget cycle.
But one of the other big things too is that we're trying to figure out a place for generation equipment per se itself, and where it would tie into the grid, that's the other thing.
That's what.
That's part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what you need to do.
Oh, we could always approve it and just put it for next fiscal year. Probably be that long before we got back in.
I can just tell them, just don't start until October 1. So if you want to go forward, just say, hey, you can start, just can't start till 10/1. So whatever you want to do. Like I said, there's no hurry, gas pedal thing. This was just hey, this is an issue and it's an option.
I'll make a motion to approve the feasibility study for backup power, not to start until 10/1 of 2025, the new fiscal year, and be funded by TIF money. Your second.
I'll second.
Roll call Don, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Donnie?
Aye.
Approve or disapprove replacement of meters possible damage by storms.
Is that 5 of those right now, 6 of them?
Yeah, so I replaced them with the stock ones we had, obviously, because they weren't working. So I just need to replace them so we have some in stock. We don't have any dumb meters anymore. I shouldn't say dumb, that's a wrong word. A non-tantalus meter. Dumb is a field term.
It's with, 1 transmitter or 3 transmitter meters, that's a technical term.
Whatever. If I send them to the shop, a dumb meter, I know I get it, so.
And how many would you, let's see, just 5 of them?
I would do 8, it comes in boxes of 4.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
yeah. And how many tankless meters do we have left?
3, I think.
Because those are gonna be installed too, if you want to do that.
Well, I was waiting for him to figure out
Oh,
where there's a deficiency,
okay,
because he said we're gonna have to remove some, he thinks.
okay,
So,
okay,
I was waiting to see where he wants those moved.
okay, so it's okay. Yeah, I make a motion to approve 8 of the single transmitter meters that were damaged by storms.
Your second.
I'll second that.
Roll call Stephanie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Tanya?
Aye.
Aye. Approve or disapprove Dylan Seaman request to bury power line at 527 Emmett Street.
So he actually requested this wasn't something we did, he requested it, and he has a screw-in insulator on his house, on the picture of his house, and he keeps pulling it out of the house. You know, so I guess the board needs to decide, is that a him problem or is that a us problem?
I think we've said to others it's a him problem.
The attachment point is the responsibility of the homeowner or the electrician. And I know he talked about possibly going underground too, on that one. And truthfully, the pole that's in the alleyway back there probably should be replaced because it's leaning pretty bad. I think trees have hit it twice now and it's to the point where it's about ready, one more to go over. So, something we need to look at back there to see about restructuring that. I think the pole further to the west is one caught on fire too with that garage fire.
To the west? No.
Or no, I'm sorry, to the south, I'm sorry, to the south.
Oh, by Angel Government?
Yes, yes, so if we did replace something in there. That's that whole section we were talking about undergrounding anyway, because the transformer that's a little bit further down is the 1950s.
So I would ask, I'll do whatever, I would ask you don't add any.
No,
more underground stuff.
I know,
We don't have
yeah,
what
we-
we need to get done yet.
Yeah.
We gotta get some stuff finished, there's just too much on the plate to get.
This would be something probably next
Yeah.
spring, whatever.
Okay, do you want me to tell him or send a letter, or do you want to do that?
We can have
Okay.
Darlene send it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the timeframe on just to tell them?
I think just whenever,
Spring.
yeah,
We'll get to it as soon as we can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Approve or disapprove library board resignation of Brian Coughlin.
They submitted anything about that, but just that there was a resignation.
I don't see nothing in there.
I didn't get any.
Okay. Well, and they were, he and the next person were two that we had just approved, so I'm not sure if they just didn't show up, if they found
I
two
think we did
replacements.
one, and then right after, that was it. I mean, like.
After the swearing in.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'll make a motion to approve the resignation of Brian Kaufman from the library board.
I'll second.
Roll call, Don, aye, Stephanie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Tanya?
Aye.
Approve or disapprove board resignation for Carol Schrader?
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation for Carol Shade from the library board.
For second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Kevin?
Aye.
Tanya?
Aye.
Don, aye, Tanya? Approve or disapprove library board new member, Ashley Risen?
I'll make a motion to approve library board member Ashley Rizzi.
I will second.
Roll call, Tanya?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Don, aye. Approve or disapprove library new board member June Hennington?
I'll make a motion to approve library board member June Hennings.
I will second.
Roll call, Kevin?
Aye.
Don, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Tanya?
Aye.
Resolution, approve or disapprove resolution 25-02, municipal annual certificate of program compliance of 2025. We do this every year for the state of Nebraska, so we can receive our money from the state. I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 2025 and municipal annual certificate of programs compliance of 2025. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Kevin?
Aye.
Tanya?
Aye.
Don, aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Board comments or questions, Stephanie?
I do not have anything.
None? Kevin?
I plan on being here for that meeting on Friday too, so you're aware of that. What else was on the list? Finally got some of these building permits information, that I needed to get that stuff processed. You said that they did have a meeting, finally got a quorum, I believe. Your
Maintenance only.
Planning and zoning did, yes. So hopefully that's moving forward. Again, thank you to the guys for getting the weeds mowed over on Church Road. Had two compliments about that one. They could actually see around the corner again. And oh, there was an email sent out today to the Nebraska League of Municipalities is having an open house next Friday at their new facility, and anybody that is part of that is encouraged to go attend and do some handshaking. So if you have time to get down there, we'll open house and ribbon cutting is all they want. That's all I got.
Done?
I think Greenwood days went pretty good from everyone that I talked to, so thank you to the Park and Rec for doing that. Thanks to Jimmy for the mowing, everything was really awesome. I think that's all I have.
I just want to thank Alan Grill for everything you've done. Had a lot of things going on after hours. We appreciate everything you do. All your guys have done a real good job. Jimmy mowing, I mean, he's really kept everything looking good. So, I think on September 8th, I will be meeting with Cass County Tourism and doing the last inspection on the field. So we'll get that handled. And other than that, I have nothing. We can adjourn at 7:46.